Hey guys, Mike Malarczyk at New Fed Mortgage. Thanks so much for taking the time today to check out my video. I'm making it for you, the potential first-time home buyer. And listen, let's face it, buying a house, I don't care who you are, is a big deal. It's a huge financial decision. But if you're a first-time home buyer, particularly in this market, it can be absolutely overwhelming. I mean, we've got super low inventory, super high prices, interest rates are all over the map. It's completely overwhelming, frustrating. I get it. I feel your pain. And, you know, I have a lot of people saying to me, Mike, it's just too much. I'm just going to ride it out for a year or two. I don't care anymore. I'm giving up. And you know what? I don't blame you. So the reason I decided to make this video today is because I remember when I bought my first house. It was 2001. We were in the middle of a recession. It was an ultra competitive market, almost the exact same conditions as what we're seeing today. And I remember feeling completely overwhelmed. I had no idea where to start. I didn't have a clue about the home buying process. And I remember feeling like I am never gonna be able to afford my own home. And that sucked. That was a horrible feeling. And I don't want anybody to feel like that. So what I want to do today is you give me 15, maybe 20 minutes, if I don't go too long. I'm going to take you through the steps on how to get there. I'm going to educate you about the process. Hopefully I'm going to alleviate some of those fears and misconceptions you may have around buying your first home. Yes, it is possible. No, it's not as difficult and scary as you think. So where do we start? It all starts with a pre-approval. So what is a pre-approval? Pre-approval is a verified, complete preliminary evaluation of your financial position and your buying power. Your ability to qualify for a mortgage is based on 4 key elements. Number 1, we have your income and your length of employment. Number 2, we have your debt. Number 3, your assets. And number 4, your credit score. Now, it's important to mention here that you want to have a pre-approval done and not a pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is basically an estimate of what you could potentially qualify for. They're done very quickly. It's usually, they can do it over the phone. You can do it online. They're going to ask you about your income. They're going to ask you about your assets, and they're going to pull your credit. And that's it. They're not going to verify anything. They're going to give you, again, an estimate of what you could potentially qualify for. And in this market, and if you're serious about buying a home, that's no bueno, no good. Basically, a pre-qualification is not worth the paper it's printed on. Pre-approval, on the other hand, is a much more thorough and in-depth process. When I pull your credit, I'm actually going to look at it. I'm going to look for potential landmines. I'm going to look for things maybe we can get taken care of before we actually apply for your mortgage. I'm also going to ask you for documents that support your income, your employment. I'm going to ask for supporting documents such as bank statements, retirement statements, and I'm going to review and verify all this stuff. I'm going to take all that information and run it through our desktop underwriting process so that we can determine what you're eligible for. And yeah, it's a little more work up front, but it's absolutely worth it. When we run it through our underwriting software, what we're looking for here is an approved eligible. And that means based on everything that you've given me and we've reviewed, that you are able to obtain a mortgage, and you'll know exactly what you qualify for, and more importantly, you'll know exactly what you do not qualify for. And this is a massively, massively important first step. So look, I know it's fun to go online, look at houses online, maybe go to a few open houses here or there, play with the little mortgage calculators to try to figure out if you can afford it or not. But without a real pre-approval, you're really wasting your time. It makes no sense to do all that stuff until you know exactly what you can afford. And if you're working with a realtor, you're wasting their time too. As a matter of fact, a lot of the realtors that I work with, and I work with some of the top producing agents in the area, they won't even take you seriously if you don't have a pre-approval. Okay? So again, I cannot overemphasize the importance of getting pre-approval done. So here's kind of an under the radar benefit of having a pre-approval done. So what happens if you don't qualify? Bummer, right? But it's certainly better to know now up front before you waste any time or money. Also, by going through the process, we're going to identify some items that we may need to address. You know, just because you don't qualify right now doesn't mean you can't qualify 3 to 6 months down the road. So let's say maybe you had some employment issues during COVID, or maybe we need to come up with a saving strategy to kind of get you to a decent down payment level. Or maybe you've got some credit issues aren't major, but maybe we need to do a little work and boost that credit score up. And you won't know any of this until you go through the process of getting a pre-approval. So that's why it's step one. It is without a doubt the most important step if you're serious about trying to buy your first home. So now that we have our pre-approval, the next step is to figure out what type of mortgage is right for me. What are my options? Well, basically there's two ways we can go. There's conventional loans and then there's government-backed loans. And both have really great programs for first-time home buyers. But before I get into those, I do want to address this huge misconception that I see with a lot of first-time home buyers, and that is the idea that you need 20% down to buy a home. And that's simply not the case. Have I had first-time home buyers come to me with that much saved? Yes. But they're very rare. Call them unicorns. It just doesn't happen very often. And as a matter of fact, most first-time home buyers only put down between 3 and 10% as a down payment. So don't get all freaked out thinking I need 20% down. I can't do it without that much money saved. It's just not the case. And with these programs I'm going to go into, they're geared towards first-time home buyers, so you don't have to deal with having that 20% down payment, which is a lot of money. Let's face it, it's a lot of money to come up with, particularly if you're young and just starting up. So let's take a look at the programs. On the conventional side, there are two really great first-time home buyer programs. There's Home Ready from Fannie Mae and Home Possible by Freddie Mac. These both require a minimum down payment of 3%. You can have a credit score as low as 620, and with both these programs, you get discounted mortgage insurance. Now, I just want to take a minute here to talk about mortgage insurance, or PMI, as it's more commonly referred to. Okay, so here's the deal. If you're a first-time home buyer, 95% of you are going to have PMI. That's just the reality of the situation. That's how it is. But a lot of people make, having a PMI payment as this terrible, awful, huge expense that's going to cripple you financially. And that's not the case. It's actually a very small portion of your monthly payment. And PMI can actually work for you in a couple different ways. So the first one is this. PMI helps insure your mortgage against default. Okay, so when you have a loan with PMI, it becomes a fully secured loan. And that makes it more attractive on the bond market. So loans that have PMI are often able to get a slightly better interest rate than ones without. Okay, so number two, and perhaps the biggest one, is PMI allows you to have a lower down payment, which allows you to get in the house in the first place, right? If you're renting, let's say you're paying, $2,000 a month in rent, right? If you wait 2 years to get a house, that's $48,000 that you're just basically throwing out the window. So with PMI, you're able to get in the house, you're actually paying yourself towards equity in your home, and you're getting a return on your investment. Okay, and number three is this. PMI is not forever. You can finance out of it. It does go away. It doesn't last forever. And, for a first-time home buyer, it's just kind of comes with the territory. So don't get freaked out by it. Okay, so back to Home Ready and Home Possible. So they both offer discounted mortgage insurance on the home. There are income limits based on the county where you live. So in order to qualify, we'd have to look at your income. But they're pretty generous, and we would have to see. But that's why we do the pre-approval. Now, both programs allow you to use the income from a non-occupant borrower or cosigner to qualify. And this is a really nice feature. So an example of this be where one of your parents cosigns the loan to boost your qualifying income, but they don't need to live in the home. Typically, with regular conventional loans, both borrowers need to make the home the primary reference. And lastly, home ownership education is required. But that's a good thing because you'll be a more informed consumer, and it's also very easy to complete. On the government side, the first option I want to talk about is the VA loan. But first and foremost, if you are a veteran, thank you. I don't think the government does enough for our veterans, but I can tell you with this program, they really, really got it right. So if you are a veteran, a VA loan is a great, great option. So with a VA loan, the minimum credit score is 580, there is no PMI, and no down payment. And unfortunately, if you are the surviving spouse of a deceased veteran, you may be able to qualify and use their VA benefits to get a VA loan. So again, it's a great, great program. If you're a veteran, it's a no-brainer. And as I said, you've served our country. It's the very least we can do. Okay, so next let's talk about FHA loans. So for years and years, FHA was the go-to for first-time home buyers. It has a low down payment of 3.5%, and it's ideal for people with lower credit scores, as low as 500. Now, if you have a credit score between 500 and 579, you're going to have to put 10% down. But if you've got a credit score of 580 and above, you're only putting 3.5% down. Okay, so other features of this program are gift funds are allowed for down payment. You don't have to have an employment history of 2 years. As you do in a regular conventional. This is nice for people, who are recent graduates, or they're just starting out maybe in the trades and they've been under an apprenticeship, things like that. However, with FHA, there is required upfront mortgage insurance, which is 1.75% of the loan amount. Now you can roll that into the loan, but it is required, and FHA loans also do require monthly mortgage insurance. So these are just a few options that are available to first-time home buyers. There are other programs out there. There are programs for people in the medical profession. There are programs for first responders, police and fires, and things like that. Way, way, way too many to go into all at once. But I just wanted to give you a snapshot of what is available. And, which one is right for you, that kind of depends on your situation. Which, again, goes back to why we did that pre-approval, so we can thoroughly investigate all these different options for you. The third thing I want to talk about is Mass Housing's Down Payment Assistance Program. It's available for people purchasing a single family, a condo, or a 1 to 4 unit residential property. And basically, here's how it works. You have two mortgages. The first mortgage is the primary mortgage, which we call the house mortgage. And that is a regular 30-year loan at whatever the current market rate is. Okay, the second mortgage is the down payment assistance. So you're financing either 5% or up to $15,000, whichever is less, towards the down payment on your house. Now that second mortgage is for 15 years and it's at an interest rate of 2%. So basically you're getting help borrowing the money for your down payment at an extremely low rate. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, interest rates. It's important to understand that what we've experienced the past 2.5 years is unprecedented. Rates in 2020 and 2021 have never happened before. They were at historic lows. The rapid increase in rates over the past 4 months, again, has never happened before. So what we've seen over the past 2.5 years is not the norm. It's not how things typically are. And I think it's important to take a look at a historical perspective of interest rates to kind of pump the brakes on like the fear and paranoia and craziness that's going on here. Because if you look at things historically, you can kind of see where we are right now is actually not bad at all. And it most certainly should not frighten you or keep you away from looking into buying your first home. So I just want to pump the brakes on that a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Quite frankly, we've been spoiled by interest rates the past 2.5 years. It's been a tough time for everyone. But we really need to kind of like reel it back and put it into perspective and look at the grand scheme of things. So there you have it, the basics of becoming a first-time home buyer. I hope you guys found this helpful, informative. I hope it answered some of the misconceptions around buying your first home. I hope it alleviated some fears you may have. Purchasing a home is one of the biggest and best financial decisions you're probably going to make in your lifetime. And it truly does set the stage for financial wealth and security for you later in life. And, working with first-time home buyers for me is one of the most rewarding aspects of my job. I love their energy. I love to see them take that step in their life. It makes me feel, particularly in this market, like we're getting stuff done. We're not letting the crap of the past 2 years dictate how we live our lives. So I really love it. If I can help you out, I most certainly will. All my information is down below. Give me a call, email, grab an appointment on my Calendly. If I can help you, I will. I'd love to talk about your situation, see if we can come up with some options with you. Advice is always free, and I'm happy to do it. Even if you're talking to somebody else, I'm cool with that. It never hurts to get a second opinion. So feel free to reach out and contact me. And please, don't be afraid of this. Owning a first home, it can be a reality. It doesn't have to be a scary thing, and you can make this happen. Don't give up. Let's go. Let's make this happen.